Good morning, Tuesday. Amazon. Flash briefing.
Jamie, getting your flash briefing.
Cow, man.
In NPR News.
Woo.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Corva Coleman.
Hey.
Several school districts are sending students home early today because of heat. That includes the first day back for some. NPR's Kristen Wright reports it could break records.
This end-of-summer heat wave will hang on most of the week. Milwaukee Public Schools is among districts dismissing early today on the first day back. In Philadelphia, students at schools without air conditioning are also heading home early on their first day. Most Baltimore schools without AC are shifting to virtual learning. National Weather Service meteorologist Mark Chenard says temperatures are above normal for September.
Even in the middle of the summer,
They always say that every year.
We're approaching
Don't give us this
100
garbage.
forecast today for like the DC, Washington DC area.
In 2020, an internal government
And
watchdog
somehow we
report
survived.
found an estimated 36,000 schools needed to update or replace
Okay, now
older
that's
heating and
messed
cooling
up.
systems
Y'all need
as
to
our
work on
climate
that, government.
becomes more extreme. Kristen Wright, NPR News.
The former leader of the far-right group, the Proud Boys, is scheduled to be sentenced today in federal court in Washington. Enrique Tarrio was convicted in May of seditious conspiracy. That's for trying to disrupt the congressional count of electoral votes from the 2020 presidential election. Last week, one of Tarrio's accomplices was sentenced to 18 years in prison. A former advisor to former President Donald Trump goes on trial today in Washington. Peter Navarro is accused of 2 misdemeanors. Navarro refused to provide documents to the House Special Committee examining the January 6th insurrection. In Texas, the state Senate will begin the impeachment trial today of suspended Attorney General Ken Paxton. The Texas newsroom, Sergio Martinez Beltran, reports that the embattled Republican faces 20 impeachment charges.
Ken Paxton is accused in articles of impeachment of using his position
But
as
you can
Attorney
really only be
General to
impeached
shield
once,
a
right?
political donor
So-
from an FBI investigation. He's also been accused of bribery, conspiracy, and obstruction of justice.
To say
Paxton
you
has denied
impeached 20
all of the
times, but you're
allegations.
going to trial.
The Senate
means
trial
it's-
is expected to last weeks. Paxton also remains under indictment on securities fraud charges and faces an additional federal investigation after former staffers accused him of accepting bribes and abusing his office.
One impeachment should
For
take you to
NPR
trial,
News,
right?
I'm Sergio Martinez
You
Beltran
need
in
20
Austin.
impeachment.
Tens of thousands of people started to leave the counterculture festival Burning Man yesterday. Many had been stuck in mud. Last Friday, a torrential storm poured half an inch of rain on the Western Nevada festival site. Attendee Evie Airy says it's been a muddy mess.
Easy.
People running out
Isn't
of
that Russell
water,
Brand and hops?
food, gasoline, everything, but it's zero what they do. I'm sorry to say it, but the organization, they don't care about it, what's going on here.
She says she probably won't get out of the festival site until later today. This is NPR. Chinese authorities have evacuated tens of thousands of people from their homes. The remnants of a powerful typhoon are flowing over southern China today. The water has submerged vehicles and overwhelmed houses. The eyes of the world are on Guatemala. Maria Martin reports the Central American country's presidential transition process is being watched by the Organization of American States.
OAS Secretary General Luis Almagro sat with outgoing President Alejandro Yamatei and President-elect Fernando Arevalo. As Yamatei stated, the people have spoken. The sovereign will of the Guatemalan people will be respected, says Yamatei. Still, protesters gathered outside the government building where the transition talks were taking place, calling for the resignation of the country's Attorney General Consuelo Porras, who's instigated legal actions against the president-elect's party. The OAS has requested a meeting between Secretary General Almagro and Attorney General Porras as the transition process continues. For NPR News, I'm Maria Martin.
The annual summit of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, has opened in Indonesia. Vice President Harris is attending. Leaders from regional countries are talking about the 2-year-old military coup in Myanmar. Reuters news agency says ASEAN leaders have agreed the Myanmar junta cannot host the ASEAN summit in 2026. I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News from Washington.
With NPR Plus, you get bonus content from behind the scenes of your favorite
Amazon.
shows, like the
Skip.
In NASA news, after splashing down safely in a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft off the coast of Jacksonville, Florida early Monday morning, NASA's SpaceX Crew 6 completed the agency's sixth commercial crew rotation mission to the International Space Station. The International Crew 4 spent 186 days in orbit. NASA will provide coverage of the agency's SpaceX Crew 6 mission return to Earth from the International Space Station, beginning with hatch closure coverage live at 5 a.m. EDT on Sunday, September 3rd.
Closing and button down the hatch.
NASA will host a news conference at 1 p.m. EDT Wednesday, September 6th to discuss the agency's upcoming Psyche mission, which will be its first to visit a metal-rich asteroid. Riding along with
Psychic
Psyche is a
vision
laser transceiver for
mission.
NASA's Deep Space Optical
Yeah, we're gonna
Communication
psychically go
DSOC
under that
technology
asteroid.
demonstration.
With remote viewing. Yeah.
Students from Georgia and Texas will have separate opportunities next week to hear from NASA astronauts aboard the International Space Station. A team led by NASA in Utah's West Desert is in the final stages of preparing for the arrival of the first U.S. asteroid sample, slated to land on Earth in September. In weather. Currently, in
Clouds.
Seattle it's 54 degrees Fahrenheit with cloudy skies. Today, you can expect intermittent clouds, with a high of
No,
68
you can
degrees and a
expect
low of 54 degrees.
Complete clouds.
From NASA.
All right. Amazon.
After
Off. Amazon. Tell us a joke.
What do you call a cat who drives a taxi? A tabby cabbie.
Tabby cabby. Okay. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful Tuesday.